Welcome back, guys, to my YouTube channel. Now today we're going to be talking about slow films. The type of slow that lets the camera breathe, lets it stand still, and watches the world go. We live in such a fast-paced world, and I think this has led us to create more and more faster content, but at times it feels like it's a lot of shittier content, to be honest. Not every movie has to feel like we're being shot out of a cannon at lightning speed. Even though certain movies that do the faster content really well I do enjoy, it usually feels like it's fast-paced for a reason. I think a lot of content nowadays has become shittier because we just fall into certain traps of wanting to make things seem faster than expected. For me personally, I like a movie that's more balanced, that it doesn't feel like it was rushed to be edited down because of a release date, but one that feels like it's justifiably right in terms of its runtime and overall feeling as a movie. I know it can feel like nowadays a lot of movies are too long and maybe are given just the green light to go as long as they please, but I would argue that a lot of the best ones are mainly long because of the director's vision, and in that case for me it's more justifiable because the director knows how long their content should be and they're just trying to tell this great story within that setting. Especially as the audience, slow can be seen as very subjective. But there is a difference between having a slow-paced scene and a slow-paced film. Slow-paced scene in a faster-paced movie is meant to be more significant and make you look at what the director is doing. And it's kind of meant to showcase like this is really an important scene in the movie and you have to focus directly at this moment in time, even though it feels a lot slower than what the rest of the movie has been. It can point towards a turning point in the film. A specific scene is slower because we are now headed towards the climax of the movie. In my opinion, especially in thriller movies, I think that the best use of a slower paced scene is ideally used to build more tension. You want to look away, but you know that you can't because you want to finish the rest of this movie. Did we really need an 8-minute sex scene in Irreversible? I honestly don't think that we needed. I think we got the point at least past the 3-minute mark for Gaspar Noé. He wanted us to make sure that we felt every single second of torture within those 8 minutes in the movie Irreversible. Another director that does similar things and kind of experiments with these long moments of tension is Michael Haneke. The original Funny Games that came out in 1997, I think, did this perfectly in creating kind of these longer moments of tension that is happening to the main couple in the movie. He uses these slower and longer takes to make you realize the violent absurdity of the scene, and then therefore you realize kind of how absurd the situation is throughout the whole movie. Long takes specifically can therefore make a break in the movie. It can make it feel like it's such a different scene from the rest of the movie and draws more attention to it. Long takes can break the pattern from going from a reaction shot to POV and then POV to reaction shot all the time, and can make it feel like that long take is utilized in a very special way. At times for certain DPs and directors it might come off as too showy, but I think when done correctly it can really hit the nail on the head. 1917, directed by Sam Mendes and DP'd by the great Roger Deakins, was meant to feel like a long take throughout the entire journey of the movie. And I think experiencing that entire film as a long take added to the experience and made the viewer more and more intrigued as to what was going to happen next to the main character. When you have a great director, the long runtime is made intentionally because the director wants to make you feel like you're going through an epic journey with the main character. Especially in the fantasy genre, I think that the Lord of the Rings trilogy is a great example done by Peter Jackson of having a long runtime and it being justifiable. Another movie within the sci-fi fantasy genre, and one that we all know and love, I think, in the past couple years, has been the Avengers movies, especially Endgame. I think that was done really well by the Russo brothers because we got so many great character moments within that long runtime, and we had such a different, diverse characters. It made the long runtime feel even newer as we got into each different locations and perspectives of all these different characters. Another example of the long runtime being used is especially a director like Martin Scorsese, who does the long story, but he focuses on an individual character and kind of his own moral journey throughout the film. A movie like Goodfellas and The Irishman by Scorsese, well, we're analyzing and looking at the moral complexity of the individual character's actions and his circumstances along the way. Another film that you could look at in the same limelight is obviously Coppola and his Godfather films. The genre of doing a character study of the main protagonist kind of came from as well, along with Scorsese, of course, going all the way back to Taxi Driver. You can even look at that film, even though it's not as long as the Godfather trilogy or the Goodfellas or the Irishman. It still nails at creating kind of this journey of the main character and looking at the moral quandaries that that character follows. Different type of slowness in a film is done by creating a great atmosphere. I can't think of even a better director that does a great atmosphere as Stanley Kubrick. Films like Barry Lyndon and Eyes Wide Shut are movies that make the viewer feel more like a participant rather than just a viewer. I think his most famous film that does this the best is obviously 2001: A Space Odyssey. Great directors do this where they include a long scene and kind of a long take, and it makes the audience question what exactly we're watching, and it makes us dive deeper and deeper into what the character is doing and even what the setting is meant to represent within the story. Let the audience come up with their own interpretation of a scene. Those were my reason behind why a slower film is so important in today's cinema landscape. We find that with the best directors, a slower scene is meant to be more intentional and is meant to make you analyze and look deeper and deeper as to what was the reason behind the scene and kind of what is the greater meaning at large of the movie. I'm trying to understand what the director is trying to do by having this long camera movement or this longer shot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Have a good one.